The sun was setting behind the dense line of ancient trees as Emma stepped cautiously onto the winding path. The forest had always been a place of mystery for the villagers, who warned her to never venture too deep inside. But curiosity gnawed at her soul, stronger than fear. As she walked, the shadows grew longer, twisting like silent serpents around the gnarled trunks. The air grew colder, and an uneasy silence settled. No birds, no rustling leaves, just a heavy stillness that pressed down on her chest. Suddenly, a faint whisper echoed through the branches, so soft she thought she imagined it. Yet it repeated, a breathy murmur calling her name. Emma, Emma. Her heart hammered in her ribcage. She spun around, but the forest seemed empty. Just the twisting shadows and the cold mist creeping in at her feet. The path behind her vanished into darkness. The whispers grew louder, and now they were not just words but a chilling chant. Come, come, come. Frozen in place, Emma felt invisible eyes watching from the blackness between the trees. Something was waiting. Emma's breath came out in sharp, visible puffs as the cold tightened around her like a vice. The whispering ceased abruptly, leaving a suffocating silence that felt heavier than before. She forced her legs to move, stumbling down the winding path, but the forest seemed to twist unnaturally. The trees no longer lined the trail, they had shifted, their roots snaking across her feet, tangling and tripping her. She fell hard onto the damp earth, a sudden crack of a twig making her jolt upright. Her eyes darted around, searching the shadows. There, two glowing orbs flickered like embers, hovering just beyond the edge of the path. Emma froze. The eyes blinked once, twice, and then disappeared. Who's there? She whispered, voice cracking. No answer. Only the whispering wind through dead leaves. Heart pounding, she scrambled to her feet and started running, branches clawing at her face, the underbrush tearing at her clothes. The path seemed endless now, twisting and turning with no end. Suddenly, she tripped again, falling into a hollow where the moonlight barely reached. The air here was thick with the scent of earth and decay. As she tried to steady herself, a soft voice echoed right behind her ear. Don't run. Emma spun around. No one, but the eyes returned. More of them now, floating in the darkness like stars of dread. They watched, they waited, and the forest whispered its terrible secret. Emma didn't know how long she had been running, but eventually, the tangled trees gave way to a clearing. Moonlight spilled over the remains of a small village, long abandoned and swallowed by time. Crumbling houses stood like broken teeth in the dirt, windows shattered, doors hanging loosely on their hinges. A heavy silence filled the air, thicker than the forest had been. Emma's skin prickled with unease, but exhaustion forced her to slow down. She stepped cautiously onto the cracked stones of the main street. Suddenly, a cold breeze carried the faint scent of smoke and something metallic. Emma's gaze snapped to a decrepit well at the center of the village. It looked old, forgotten, but the stones around it were strangely clean. A soft humming sound rose from the well, low and mournful. Hello? Emma called out, voice trembling. The humming stopped. The forest behind the village seemed to hold its breath. From the shadows of one ruined house, a figure emerged. A woman, pale and gaunt, with eyes like dark pools reflecting nothing but sorrow. You shouldn't be here, the woman whispered. They don't like visitors. Emma stepped back, heart hammering. Who are you? The woman's lips curved into a sad smile. We are the forgotten, trapped by the curse that devoured this place. And now, it wants you too. A sudden chill wrapped around Emma's spine as the wind carried 1,000 voices, whispers, cries, and laughter twisted by pain. The forest and village were alive with them, shadows moving at the edge of her vision. Emma wanted to run, but her feet were rooted to the spot. The woman reached out a trembling hand. Come with me, or be lost forever. Emma hesitated, torn between the instinct to flee and the eerie pull of the woman's outstretched hand. The air grew colder, thick with a silence that seemed to press down on her very soul. The woman's eyes, dark and endless, held Emma's gaze. You have already been marked, she said softly. The forest chose you the moment you stepped inside. Emma shivered. Marked? What do you mean? The woman's voice dropped to a whisper. Long ago, this village was alive, full of laughter and light. But the forest harbored a dark secret. A spirit, twisted by sorrow and rage, cursed this land. Anyone who tried to leave was claimed by the forest, their souls trapped in the trees. Emma looked around at the broken houses and the silent woods. Why me? Why now? You carry the blood of the first settlers, the woman explained. The curse stirs again because you have returned. Suddenly, the ground trembled beneath Emma's feet. The whispers from the forest swelled into a deafening roar. Shadows coalesced into monstrous shapes that lurched forward, their eyes burning with hatred. Emma stumbled back, but the woman caught her arm firmly. You can fight it, she urged. But only if you face the heart of the forest. Before Emma could ask more, the woman vanished into the mist, leaving behind only the echo of her warning. The night closed in around Emma, and the forest's hunger whispered in her ears. Emma stood frozen for a moment, the woman's words pounding in her mind. Fight it. Face the heart of the forest. But what did that even mean? She glanced back at the ruined village, then toward the endless black trees. The moon hung low, a pale eye watching her. Taking a deep breath, Emma steeled herself and stepped deeper into the forest. The air grew colder with every step, the darkness thickening until it was almost a physical force pressing against her skin. Branches seemed to reach for her like claws. Whispers slithered through the leaves, twisting into voices both familiar and alien. Emma, come home? She forced her legs forward, heart hammering, sweat prickling beneath her shirt. The path twisted unnaturally, looping back on itself, confusing her sense of direction. Suddenly, she stumbled into a clearing illuminated by ghostly blue light. At the center stood an enormous tree, its trunk gnarled and twisted, roots sprawling like veins into the earth. This was the heart. Emma stepped closer, feeling the energy pulse beneath her feet. The tree seemed alive, breathing slowly, exhaling cold mist. A voice echoed from within the bark. Why have you come, child of the cursed? Emma's voice barely trembled. To end this. To free the souls trapped here. The tree's branches creaked as if considering her words. You must face your fear, it whispered. Only then can the curse be broken. From the shadows, shapes began to emerge, ghostly figures of the lost villagers, their faces twisted in sorrow and pain. Emma swallowed hard. The true test had begun. Emma's heart pounded louder than the eerie silence around her. The ghostly figures drifted closer, their hollow eyes staring into her very soul. Faces she didn't recognize, yet felt strangely familiar, echoes of those trapped between worlds. Why do you fear us? The tree whispered, voice like cracking wood. Emma swallowed her terror. Because I don't know if I can save you, or myself. The spirits circled her, their mournful cries rising into a chilling chorus. Emma closed her eyes and forced herself to focus. She remembered the woman's words, to face the heart of the forest meant to confront her deepest fear. Suddenly, a shadow loomed behind her, larger than any ghost. It took the shape of a monstrous creature, a twisted figure with glowing red eyes and claws that seemed to scrape the very air. Emma's breath caught. This was the curse, the spirit that had doomed the village. It growled, a sound that vibrated through her bones. Leave this place, or become one with the forest forever. But Emma didn't move. Instead, she stepped forward, raising her voice. I'm not afraid of you. The creature lunged, but Emma stood her ground, feeling a strange warmth bloom inside her chest. Light burst from her palms, pushing the shadow back. The spirits around her began to glow, their sorrow turning into hope. The cursed spirit hissed and recoiled, retreating into the darkness. Emma breathed deeply. The forest's grip was weakening. But the battle was far from over. The cursed spirit vanished into the shadows, but the forest still seemed alive with restless energy. Emma stood in the clearing, her hands still glowing faintly from the battle, her chest pounding with adrenaline. The ghostly villagers gathered around her, their faces slowly losing their torment. Replaced with gratitude. Thank you, one whispered, her voice like the rustling of leaves. You have given us hope. Emma felt a wave of warmth she hadn't known in days. For a moment, the oppressive darkness lifted, replaced by a gentle glow emanating from the ancient tree. But then the ground shook again. The tree's branches stretched toward the sky, and from its bark, a soft pulse of light spread through the forest. The curse is not broken yet, the tree intoned solemnly. You have weakened it, but its root lies deeper still. Emma's resolve hardened. Then I'll go deeper. I'll find its root. The spirits nodded, some fading away with peaceful smiles. As Emma turned to leave the clearing, she noticed something glowing faintly near the tree's roots, a small, ancient pendant carved with strange symbols. Picking it up, Emma felt a surge of power and knowledge flow through her. The pendant was a key, a link to the first settlers and the secret to ending the curse once and for all. With renewed determination, Emma plunged further into the forest's depths, knowing the darkest challenge awaited her. Emma gripped the ancient pendant tightly as she pushed through thick undergrowth. The forest grew darker, the trees twisting into grotesque shapes that seemed to watch her every move. The whispers had returned, but now they were a chorus of warnings and threats. The pendant pulsed softly in her hand, guiding her deeper into the labyrinthine forest floor. Roots sprawled like giant serpents, twisting and coiling, forming natural tunnels and barriers. Every step was a battle against the suffocating darkness and the unseen eyes that followed her relentlessly. Suddenly, the ground beneath her gave way, and Emma tumbled down into a cavern hidden beneath the roots. The air was damp and cold, filled with the scent of earth and decay. Torches flickered along the walls, casting eerie shadows on ancient carvings that told the story of the village's downfall, betrayal, dark rituals, and the awakening of the vengeful spirit. At the cavern's center lay a stone altar, cracked and worn by time. On it rested a small wooden box, locked with a symbol matching the pendant. Emma's heart raced as she placed the pendant into the lock. The box clicked open, revealing a shard of black glass, dark and swirling with a malevolent energy. The spirit's root was here. A voice echoed around the cavern. "You cannot undo what has been done." Emma steeled herself. The final confrontation was near, and she would need all her courage to face the darkness within the forest's heart. Emma held the black glass shard carefully, its surface swirling like a storm trapped within. A chill ran through her fingertips, as if the darkness inside was trying to seep into her very bones. The cavern walls seemed to close in, shadows creeping closer, whispering ancient curses and forgotten pain. Suddenly, the shard pulsed violently, and a cold wind blasted through the chamber. The vengeful spirit appeared before her, a towering figure of smoke and shadow, eyes burning with fury. "You dare defy me?" it thundered, voice echoing off the stone. Emma steadied her breath, clutching the pendant and the shard. "I'm here to end your curse." The spirit laughed, a hollow, echoing sound. "Foolish girl. You carry their blood, but you lack their strength." As the spirit lunged, Emma raised the shard. Light flared from it, clashing with the darkness in a violent explosion of power. She felt herself pulled into a battle not only of strength but of wills, the shard burning cold in her hands as she fought to hold onto her own soul. Memories flashed before her eyes, her ancestors' hopes and fears, the village's last moments, and the betrayal that had doomed them all. With a final surge, Emma shattered the glass shard against the cavern floor. A blinding light erupted, pushing the shadowy spirit back into the darkness. The cavern trembled as the curse began to unravel. Emma fell to her knees, breathless but victorious, for now. The cavern shook violently as the shadowy spirit dissolved into a mist, carried away by the light. Emma struggled to stand, her legs weak but her spirit unbroken. The oppressive darkness that had haunted the forest for centuries was lifting. Outside, the first rays of dawn pierced through the trees, painting the forest in soft gold. Birds cautiously began to sing, and the heavy silence that once suffocated the land gave way to gentle rustling leaves and the promise of renewal. Emma stepped out of the cavern, the pendant warm against her skin. The forest around her was changing, the twisted trees straightening, the shadows retreating. As she walked back toward the village, the ghosts of the lost villagers appeared one last time, their faces peaceful and thankful. "You have freed us," the pale woman whispered, now radiant with light. "The curse is broken because of your courage." Emma smiled, tears of relief streaming down her face. The village, once dead and forgotten, began to bloom with life again. Flowers pushed through cracked stones, and a gentle breeze carried the laughter of children. Emma knew the forest would never be the same, but neither would she. She had faced the darkness, faced her fears, and brought light where there was none. And in that light, freedom was found.